Hello again. Many people in the Republic of Ireland detest the way that their country is changing. I get a lot of emails from people in ERA asking me to draw attention to this or thanking me for mentioning specific incidents which some feel typify the new Ireland. The days when we could treasure the country as being Europe's Celtic fringe are drawing to a close, and Ireland is fast becoming just one more globalised nation, indistinguishable from other parts of Europe. Because so many people in Ireland disapprove so strongly of the changes being wrought against their wishes and are expressing themselves volubly on the subject, a new law is being brought in with the aim of preventing people saying too much about the things which they dislike, whether this is mass immigration or the celebration of homosexuality. It has been very carefully framed, and if it works in Ireland, then the British will certainly be trying to bring in a version of it here. How the Incitement to Hatred or Hate Offences Act will work is really very simple. If anybody from any protected group, that is to say foreigners, black people, transsexuals, gay people, Muslims, people in wheelchairs and so on, find something you say or write online offensive, then that's it. You will have committed a crime. As easy as that. I say things here that I dare say that some people find offensive, but once the new law in Ireland comes into force, somebody like me operating in Dublin could be arrested simply because people find what is said offensive. Just the act of being offended is enough to create a crime, at least according to this new legislation. Best of all, there is no definition of hatred in the law that's being introduced, because as the Justice Minister of Ireland says, we all know what hatred is. And no, I haven't made up that quote either. Just to make sure that nobody in the Republic is tempted to even think about causing offence, the police will be able to demand that you give them access to your mobile or laptop if they're looking into something like this, and it will be a criminal offence if you refuse to let them. If they find anything which they consider might constitute hate speech on your mobile, which could be a YouTube video, book, meme, joke, Facebook page, or anything else, then the onus will be on you to prove that you were not planning on sending it to somebody else. In other words, you will be able to be convicted of hate speech even if you haven't spoken a word to anybody or sent anything to anybody over the internet. It will be enough to be in possession electronically of something which might be racist or homophobic, just in case you were thinking of sharing it with somebody else and thus offending somebody. Note, by the way, how the burden of proof is shifted from somebody proving that you are guilty to you having to prove yourself innocent. It's a neat reversal of the usual principle of law in both Ireland and Britain. Let's have a think about this and see how it might work in practice. Some books are considered racist or anti-Semitic, and at the moment it is quite rightly legal to own such things in both Ireland and Britain. This will change in Ireland once this law is passed. Anybody with a copy of something, a book or paper, document, pamphlet, which the police think might be offensive to Muslims, Jews, black people or homosexuals, is likely to result in a criminal charge. Here is a case in mind. This is one of my books. I think I probably mentioned I've got loads of books on Zionism, Judaism, the Holocaust, Jewish history and so on. The Protocol to the Elders of Zion is often cited as an archetypal anti-Semitic book, as indeed it is, and a clumsy forgery into the bargain. But that shouldn't mean that I can't own a copy. Indeed, I have done so in the past, and I'm fairly sure I've still got a copy of the protocols knocking around here somewhere, if I could but lay my hands upon it. This book by Lenny Brenner is called The Iron Wall, Zionist Revisionism from Jabotinsky to Shamir. Now, I find this fascinating, but it's not a very inspiring title to without an interest in Zionism, you might think. But guess what? It was for quoting Lenny Brenner that Ken Livingstone was thrown out of the Labour Party for anti-Semitism. Lenny Brenner, by the way, thinks that the Zionists conspired with the Nazis, and for saying that, he agreed with this, Livingstone got chucked out of the Labour Party. So this book is regarded by many people as anti-Semitic. And once that law comes into force in Ireland, having it on Kindle on my laptop will probably become a criminal offence. It would be a crime for me to own it electronically in Ireland if any Jew said that he found it offensive. Can anybody see the nature of the problem here? Ireland is about to introduce a law, and it will probably come into force either next month or in October, that will make it illegal to own books on your laptop or on your mobile that someone might find offensive. This really is the most shocking infringement of liberty imaginable. My worry is that once the Irish have got this dreadful law up and running, somebody in Britain, maybe the next Labour government, which will almost certainly come into power next year, will look at it and then want something of the kind here as well. If that happens, not only freedom of speech, but freedom of thought in this country would have gone for good.